The only way for me to solve this crisis is to be Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
Ho, 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 ho. Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
Yes, everybody, welcome back to Delightfully Devilish, the show where we discuss films that all at once meet the criteria of being the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm your host, Jukebox Harry, and today we are going to be starting the first in a trilogy of episodes about the worst of the worst amongst Superman films, and we're going to start with the one which is considered to be possibly the worst superhero film ever made. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace is a 1987 superhero film where they decided to dig up the corpse of Superman and bring it back, not in the way they did in Justice League, but in the sense of after Superman 3 had low box office intake and highly negative feedback, they decided to sell the franchise rights to a different company entirely. Canon Films, of course, who decided they needed a box office hit and felt Superman was the way to do it. It didn't pan out like that. The Superman film series is like the Alien or Terminator film series. The first two in the series are the only ones that you can consider objectively good. After that, it's all hit and miss, and spin-offs, and sequels, and prequels, and a lot of different messy decisions made that just completely messed up the franchise. See, Superman 3 itself was hardly even a Superman film. It was more of a Richard Pryor comedy. But Superman 4 is even less of one. This is a film produced by Canon Films, and that's what it is. This is a Canon film. They made B-grade movies. This is a B-grade movie pretending to be an A-grade movie, and it's not pretending all that well. The best way you can understand Superman 4 The Quest for Peace is to do a comparison with the first Superman film and see all the inherent differences. Superman the movie had a budget of $55 million. Superman 4 The Quest for Peace had a budget of $17 million, which is even less than a third of the original film's budget. And while the first Superman was 143 minutes long, this one is 90 minutes long. Yeah, the original cut was 134 minutes, but they actually cut it down, hoping they could play it more times in cinemas on a daily basis and earn more profits. The first Superman film was directed by Richard Donner, the director of The Omen and all four Lethal Weapon films. But both him and the director of Superman 2 and Superman 3, Richard Lester, they both turned down the opportunity to direct Superman 4 The Quest for Peace, as did Ron Howard, who was working on Willow at the time. This ended up being directed by Sidney J. Furie. Ever heard of him? Exactly. His biggest other notable film is probably Iron Eagle. As a matter of fact, Wes Craven almost directed this film. You know, the guy who made A Nightmare on Elm Street and Deadly Friend. God, I can't imagine what his film would have been like if he made it, but I am curious. The first Superman film was produced by Alexander and Ilya Salkind, two Mexican-born filmmakers who made names for themselves in Hollywood producing films such as The Three Musketeers and The Four Musketeers. They would later end their careers producing Christopher Columbus, The Discovery, which I previously talked about, but we're not going to get there just yet. Whereas Superman 4 The Quest for Peace was produced by Yoram Globus and Menahem Golan, the owners of Canon Films. They have been known for producing a lot of B-movies. Such examples include The Delta Force, Over the Top, and Masters of the Universe, three films which I've talked about. Masters of the Universe was actually their biggest budgeted film, at $22 million. This film had different writers, it had different composers. Only one of the original visual effects artists wanted to return for this film because Canon Films didn't want to pay anyone to produce quality material. Superman 4 The Quest for Peace starts with some immediately obvious shortcomings. The once impressive visual effects that gave highly spirited intro credits to the series has now been downgraded to an incredibly low rent replacement. Even though you can see the names of several major cast members returning, don't get your hopes up. Then we cut to a Soviet-Russian spacecraft where one of the first things we witness is awful dubbing.
My food.
Great start here, people. The astronauts encounter some trouble, but in comes Superman. Wait, what? Immediately you can see a very low standard for visual effects in the film, and that same clip of Superman flying towards the camera plays again a few seconds later. You are in for some truly abhorrent visual effects in this film, so brace yourself. And if you want to have some fun, then drink every single time this exact shot is used throughout the film. Then we cut to Superman's farm in Smallville. He collects a Kryptonian energy module that's been left there for him.
Power in the module can be used but once.
Oh, apparently that's X-ray vision? I thought that was just a very terrible transition going on. A big developer in a cowboy hat comes to buy the farm, which Superman refuses to sell. And that is the entirety of the plot point. It literally never comes back. It might have been in the original cut of the film, but since we're missing about a third of what this film was supposed to be, yeah, it's, I just don't know. It does reflect another theme which gets touched upon later in the story, but nothing is done with it. Then we cut to Lex Luthor, because Canon didn't want to come up with a good villain, they just wanted to rely on nostalgia. How they got Gene Hackman back for this film after he refused to appear in Superman 3 goes beyond me, but Canon Films is known for paying huge sums of money just to get star power. Remember that they paid Sylvester Stallone $12 million to appear in Over the Top. They couldn't even pay anyone to write a good script for that movie.
Even this wretched pit can't diminish the spirit of true genius.
That's a rather meta comment when you think about it. Given how groundbreaking the Superman series was back in its heyday, seeing it come back again and again to the point that it's actually gotten to a quality this low, yeah, that can be considered diminishing the value of true genius, if you ever consider the Superman film series to be true genius.
A true genius like myself learns to seize the moment.
Well, if seizing the moment means taking an easy paycheck, then yes. If seizing the moment means taking a good opportunity, then no. For some reason, the police willingly allow a white teenager to just drive right into a prison workspace. Although this is pretty accurate. I mean, Brock Turner proved that if you're a white male from a privileged background that you can get away with anything in America. The police proceed over with guns, but don't open fire because he isn't black. In actual fact, he's Lex Luthor's nephew, Lenny Luthor.
Oh no, not Lenny! Not Lenny!
You on the wrong side of the state, boy.
No chance.
Oh no.
Or is he Phoebe from Friends?
Oh no.
Underage sidekicks became a big thing in the 1980s, as Temple of Doom can attest, but why anyone would cast Ducky from Pretty in Pink as the sidekick to Lex Luthor in a superhero movie, it's beyond me. Accordingly, John Cryer does an excellent job playing Lex Luthor himself on the Supergirl TV series, but when I first saw this film, I was so obsessed with 2.5 Men, so I just kept getting Alan Harper vibes.
Holy mother of God!
The police in this scene are very idiotic, which is a pretty accurate reflection of them based on the behaviour of American police in recent years. So they willingly get into Lenny's car, which he activates with a remote control that seals them in, which then turns into a model and drives off a hill and crashes off screen, apparently exploding. Christopher Reeve pulled John Cryer aside on the first day of filming this movie and warned him this film was gonna suck. This scene reminds us of that, if the first scene in the movie wasn't already doing that. Lenny breaks Lex out so they can do one thing.
Destroy Superman!
What a surprise!
Then Lois Lane is on a train where the faceless driver has a very pathetic attempt at a heart attack, and suddenly we're watching another Cannon film. Remember Runaway Train? That was produced by Cannon Films. That earned them Academy Award nominations. This film didn't. Clark Kent goes into a booth to change into Superman, which literally nobody notices somehow. And then we get that shot again. First of all, drink. Second of all, notice how nobody's eyes move as Superman flies past them? It's almost like he wasn't actually flying past them and this is all just special effects. Superman stops the train.
I'd like all the people back there to know that our subway system is still the safest and most reliable means of public transportation.
For the record, this was shot in London, so this isn't even the same subway they used in the first movie. And second of all, that is just a poor attempt to replicate a similar line said about flight in the first Superman movie. In an ironic meta-narrative, the Daily Planet has been taken over by another company that is interested in making money but not with any kind of integrity. Cannon Films didn't even realize they were actually insulting themselves when they made this movie.
The Daily Planet hasn't made any money in 3 years.
And neither had Cannon Films, which is why they bought the rights to Superman hoping for a blockbuster, and it didn't pan out. Funnily enough, they got taken over by another company 2 years after this movie and then went completely defunct in '94.
Ironic.
And the name of the game is making money.
Wrong game, Cannon.
It's super, don't you think?
Don't use that word, it's so tacky.
Excusez-moi. You're spoiled, miss.
I suppose trying to speak French.
Yeah, at the start of the film, Lois Lane is learning French for some inane reason.
All trips are cancelled. You mean my trip to Paris is cancelled?
And there's the reason thrown right out the window.
I want to see your books. The rest of you get back to work.
Get back to work, Stuart.
There's also a subplot about the daughter of the new boss having a crush on Clark Kent.
Clark is the oldest living Boy Scout, okay? He's trustworthy, he's helpful, he's loyal, he's obedient, I don't know how to tell you this. I just don't think he'd be attracted to somebody like you.
Remember how Lois Lane was once a strong female character? Well, now her entire arc is being in love with Superman and being so controlling that she refuses to let any other women see Clark.
All men like me. I'm very, very rich.
Is that a new stereotype?
The nuclear arms race gets written into the story in a desperate attempt to keep Superman relevant.
The best thing we can do
Is not make another Superman movie!
Zinga!
Why don't we write to our congressman?
Yeah, or we could not.
Superman, the subject of our newest exhibit, has graciously donated a strand of his hair to the museum. So we can all have the fun of seeing how strong he really is. Here you can see a 1,000-pound load.
Lex Luthor steals a strand of hair which can hold 1,000 pounds of weight by breaking it with a very basic bolt cutter. This doesn't make sense, but also Luthor just takes the middle section of Superman's hair. His plan is to use Superman's DNA for an evil scheme, but all the DNA in hair is found in the follicle, which is at the base. This film uses the same scientific logic as COVID conspiracy theorists, transphobes, and Jenny McCarthy, in that it doesn't use any. The new female character, Lacey, her arc is limited entirely to her physical appearance, as she spends the entire movie trying to seduce Clark, but not really developing any personality.
I've come up with what I think is a brilliant idea.
You gonna turn yourself into a pickle?
It's wonderful. It's great, isn't it?
Well, Swarfield, I really don't think I'd be right for this.
Do you want to actually show us the poster? Or were Cannon Films too cheap to actually print anything there? Lacey also behaves towards Clark in a way which makes him uncomfortable, and that is obviously workplace sexual harassment, but the film plays this all off as sexy. Because remember, men cannot be sexually harassed. A kid named Jeremy comes up with the idea to write to Superman in hopes that he'll stop the nuclear war from ever happening. And given that Superman is politically biased, I don't think that's a very wholesome idea. But remember, America is always right about everything.
Thanks a lot. I know you'll come through. Your friend Jeremy.
Oh, new friend! Oh, friend! Please be my friend! Oh, friend! Oh, friend!
Fuck you lot.
Anybody wants me, I'll be downtown.
He looks like my father used to look when he went to the bank to ask for a loan.
Right, but that is a very specific look, Lois. How many times did your dad actually have to go and do that to establish it as an appearance that you recognize?
Superman's decision now. I'm sure he'll do the right thing.
Oh, trust me, if Superman was going to do the right thing, he wouldn't have made Superman 3, or literally any of the other Superman films since then. They have all been duds. Superman flies home to think about things.
I know I'm forbidden to interfere, and yet the Earth is threatened by the same fate as Krypton's.
Yeah, you can spin the Earth backwards to suit your personal desires, but when it comes to possibly saving the entire world, that's where you draw the line? Superman is visited by a council of previously unseen Kryptonians lazily edited into the film with reduced opacity.
Betrayed.
Once upon a time, we had two-time Oscar-winning Marlon Brando portraying Jor-El as a way of offering advice to Christopher Reeve. Now we have a bunch of nameless dickheads, one who just keeps saying the same word again and again and again. Superman doesn't get any answers, so when Lois comes over, he tricks her into thinking that Clark Kent is going to kill himself.
Jump! He can jump!
If you look closely, Lois very willingly just jumped there, and Superman also tricked someone into thinking he was going to kill himself and also put her life in jeopardy. That is a very horrible and manipulative thing to do. Superman my ass, that is Stuperman material right there. But the film is quick to distract you from its emotional manipulation with a reminder of just how terrible the visual effects are. We get another sequence of Superman and Lois flying, and this is possibly the dumbest decision in the film. Not only does this add nothing to the narrative since it's a shameless copy of a far superior scene from Superman, but it also goes to repeatedly highlight just how awful the visual effects are. It is so consistently ugly and inconvincing. After this scene is done literally adding nothing to the plot, they return home.
You'll do the right thing no matter what it is, you always have.
Well, again, he did Superman 3, and his behavior in that film was very often violent and selfish.
You don't even know my name.
Kal-El.
You remember, don't you?
She literally just outlined that for you.
I remember everything.
Then how come you don't remember him doing anything wrong in Superman 3? Superman kisses Lois and saps her memory, thus making this scene even less relevant to the characters.
Too much thinking wears down your batteries.
Thinking sucks.
Lois, do you know how much your ticket's gonna cost here? Lacey, it's only money.
How can you honestly say that in a movie which looks so ridiculously cheap because the producers were cutting costs at every corner?
Secretary, I don't represent any country, but I'd like to address the delegates.
Fucking liar!
Oh, did you sap your own memory, Superman? Yeah, let me remind you exactly what country you stand for.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way. In the American way. In the American way. American.
So after a child comes up with a simplistic plan to have a superhero just get rid of all nuclear weapons and then a tabloid pressures him into it, Superman caves.
I'm going to rid our planet of all nuclear weapons.
He doesn't even consider the political implications of his actions, just literally plans to get rid of everything but not the source of their creation or understanding the attitudes that made them exist in the first place. Yeah, typical jingoistic, simplistic canon films narrative. For reasons that are never explained, everyone everywhere in the world just randomly starts firing off nuclear weapons all at the same time. Drink. Apparently they're also just being fired off randomly into space. And as you can see, the Russians have uniforms which are so bright with their red colors because they've obviously never been worn before. After jamming a large number of nuclear arms into a giant net and none of them explode, he tosses them 93 million miles away in only a matter of seconds for them to explode upon hitting the sun. And I'm honestly surprised that Canon Films didn't use the footage of this explosion earlier when the car crashed. Somehow, Lex Luthor gets all the major arms dealers into one room at the same time.
I, Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mind of the modern era, have discovered a way to destroy Superman.
I doubt it.
Shut those blinds. The sun is hurting my eyes.
Ah! Natural light! Get it off me! Get it off me!
You know what the sun is? It's nothing more than a huge nuclear bomb.
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
What should we do? Deal with a notorious scoundrel like you?
That is Jim Broadbent. He actually still has a major career to this day and an Oscar after being in this movie. Geez, he's the real Superman here.
Yes, but what's in it for you?
A tiny commission. Something appropriate. A number with a lot of zeros behind it.
Yeah, are you ever gonna tell us what that number is?
37.
Oh, huh. That's a good number. Using the protoplasm from Superman's DNA, as well as some activated charcoal and a little bit of fabric for a costume, Lex Luthor straps his supervillain kit to another aimless nuclear missile which Luthor shoots into space. Superman tosses it into the sun, we get the same explosion again, and out comes Nuclear Man, played by Mark Pillow. Yeah, the actor that plays the supervillain in this film, his surname is the least threatening thing ever. Pillow. Then Lex is dancing with Mozart's wife, which is especially strange. Everything in the film is ridiculous, but this one moment has literally no relevance to anything. Like, she disappears after this scene.
Lex, you're speaking me out.
If you were gonna make the character Pauly Shore, why didn't you just cast him in the role?
Link and I are cruising the mountain, bro, and we figure we's a little juice.
I love it when a plan comes together.
I am the father now.
What the hell does that mean?
You have my voice. No, you have my voice.
The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, why does he have Lex Luthor's voice? He was made up of Superman's DNA, not Luthor's.
Oh no.
How can you not even pronounce the word no?
Destroy. Destroy Superman now.
Nuclear Man only says a total of 11 lines in this film, and he uses up most of them in this scene, so you can be grateful for that. Turns out Nuclear Man needs sunlight to survive.
Oh no. He's like cold.
That is the exact same fake accent that Nicolas Cage used in Vampire's Kiss.
The work's not just gonna go away, Alva. It never just goes away.
In an ironic twist of fate, Nicolas Cage came super close to playing Superman in a film that was going to be directed by Tim Burton, and they cancelled it very last minute. Then the film's two women have a double date with Clark Kent and Superman. So Superman 4: The Quest for Peace gets reduced from being a superhero movie to being an unfunny joke where one guy has to pretend to be two people in the same place at once. This is a sitcom trope. Canon Films literally turned a superhero franchise into a sitcom to save money. And even though it's a double date, Lois keeps trying to interview Superman, which would be a total buzzkill. The entire scene is a massive drag, but luckily Lex Luthor interrupts things by tricking Superman into coming to visit him. He meets Nuclear Man.
Destroy Superman. The end of Superman.
See, that line is actually a pretty accurate assessment of this film, because Superman 4 did to Superman what Batman and Robin did to Batman, except it did it for about twice as long. Nuclear Man also leaves flaming footprints, which he never leaves at any other point in the film.
Parting is inevitable.
It's what?
Inevitable.
One more time?
Inevitable! Things are inevitably going to change! God damn it, open your fucking ears!
Destroy Superman. First, I have fun.
Oh, I can tell you're having fun, Mark Pillow. I can see it in your eyes. Superman and Nuclear Man fight as the film's visual effects take over again, creating a more relevant but still laughable sequence of terrible chroma keyed footage. And don't forget to drink. Superman chases Nuclear Man to China, where he destroys a very obvious miniature of the Great Wall of China, which nearly nobody of any Asian descent is present for. After saving someone and flying upwards, Superman is suddenly standing on the ground, fixing everything with his vision. And this is cited as one of the worst things in the film. This is not a power Superman has, and the shots being used for him to rebuild it, this is actually recycled footage of him waving at people, which is then mirrored to pretend that it's two different shots. Originally, he was meant to repair everything at super speed, but after they slashed the film's budget, this happened instead. Then they're in space again, and if you look closely in these shots, you can even see a lot of flickering on the characters. The more attention you pay to the visual effects, the worse everything really is. Nuclear Man, who is all about heat, can suddenly freeze Superman.
It does not make sense!
Then he makes Mount Vesuvius erupt. Drink. But with the power of unconvincing miniatures, Superman is able to stop things again. Nuclear Man steals the Statue of Liberty and just drops it. Drink. It also changes size between shots. Drink again. Superman catches it and flies it back, but Nuclear Man returns, and if you look closely, he's literally flying backwards here. He scratches Superman.
Is that all you can do? Ow! That kind of hurt. God, is that bleeding? No, I guess it's alright. Ouch, though!
Superman falls, and this brick wall here starts throbbing or something. Superman gets kicked away into the sky as parts of him physically disappear due to the poor chroma keying work. And his cape starts dramatically falling in slow motion, but the film is short a cut so that we don't see it completely fail to actually land on the Statue of Liberty.
Where'd this come from?
Oh, that somebody brought it in. We bought it cheap.
Oh, I'm sure you did. I'm sure nothing in this film was bought at a costly price. And watch for the Pepsi logo, of course.
Video.
We're all very pleased at all the nuclear missiles and arms you've helped us sell. And we've decided to increase your commission.
Oh, guys, really? That's great.
Huh, that is an act of selflessness and generosity. Are you sure you guys are the bad guys in this movie? Never mind, Lex Luthor just takes over the company instead. I don't know why this film keeps being so loud on the subject of hostile takeovers. It's not like Canon Films was a company with any integrity. Severely injured by his nuclear scratches, Superman heals himself with a previously mentioned Kryptonian energy module, which in reality should actually drain him of his superpowers because it's a Kryptonian substance, but apparently thinking is the job of the audience and not the filmmakers in Superman 4. Nuclear Man sees a picture of Lacey and decides he wants.
Where is the woman?
Give it up, you'll never find her.
If you will not tell me, I will hurt people.
I mean, that's not a creative threat, but okay. Predictably, he doesn't actually hurt literally anyone, just destroys a bunch of surrounding miniatures. The cops arrive and the film turns into footage which has very obviously been reversed. Notice that cut there? Notice that fake explosion? Yeah, the filmmakers don't want you to notice it, but it's really hard not to. And that is what happens to your penis when you do drugs.
It's bloody half up and half down. Fucking drug addicts, bloody hell.
Nuclear Man keeps lifting people up, but never actually hurts them. He chases Superman into a building, and after being very clearly pulled by strings up through several roofs, we're back in Lex Luthor's lair, even though the film tries to pretend we're in a different building. Superman traps him in an elevator, destroying another obvious miniature, and takes the elevator to the moon where the sun won't get him. Then he flies away, but apparently he forgot that the sun actually comes back after being gone for a little while. He lands on the moon where you can very obviously see the flag is being held up by an extra horizontal pole. The two begin to engage in an overlong, very tacky and cheap looking fight on the moon, which is done entirely in slow motion because that is meant to replicate the film's sense of altered gravity, you know? And Superman, who could very easily lift the Statue of Liberty earlier, suddenly moves out of the way because he doesn't want to get hit by a moon rock. Because you know, that's so dangerous for a Man of Steel. The entire moon fight scene is full of obvious wires and harnesses with black curtains occasionally visible in the background, as well as bad chroma keyed footage. And apparently filming this scene led to stuntman John Lee suffering career-destroying injuries because he fell through the set and broke both legs. This led to a court case, which is probably where most of the film's budget actually went in the end. Superman gets beaten into the ground in a symbolic reflection of what the producers actually did to him by making this film in the first place. Nuclear Man flies home to kidnap Lacey while Superman moves the moon. But of course the film doesn't consider the impacts that this will actually have on the tide. You know, Bruce Almighty considered the idea of what would happen if we moved the moon. How did a Superman film not? He blocks the sun as Nuclear Man brings Lacey into space where she can breathe and not freeze somehow. The lack of scientific logic that has been running rampant throughout this film can't be accidental. This scene goes to show that any common sense about basic science was just completely disregarded by the filmmakers. Nobody anywhere can see this scene and think, yeah, she should be able to breathe and not freeze. Drink. Nuclear Man faints, Superman drops him into a nuclear reactor which realistically should empower him but instead kills him, and then the Daily Planet even miraculously fixes all their problems.
So I convinced them to lend me the money, I bought up all the outstanding shares, and you, Mr. Warfield, are now a minority shareholder.
Oh, how convenient.
Superman takes Lenny Luthor to the care of a Catholic priest where he will no doubt be sexually abused.
Not Lenny!
Then he takes Lex Luthor back to the exact same prison he easily broke out of earlier.
Just one thing. How did you beat him?
High school physics, Luthor.
How can you cite high school physics in a movie that doesn't even understand elementary school physics?
See you in 20.
Only 20 years for putting the entire world in jeopardy, trying to start a nuclear war, breaking out of prison, theft, attempted murder. Rich white men really can get away with anything. And the final shot of the film is literally reused footage from the first Superman film, and you can tell because its special effects are actually good. Canon Films just changed the tin ever so slightly to pass it off as new. Is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace a good film?
Oh no.
Like I said, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace is not a Superman film. It is a Canon film parading around trying to think that it's a Superman film. But it's not. You know, a lot of the Superman films haven't aged all that well. The first Superman film, which was groundbreaking back in its day, now just seems really long, slow, short on action, and has a pretty ridiculous ending. Even Superman 2, which is nonetheless the best of all the Superman films, that one still is a bit slow and dated, but it's still a great movie. Superman 3 was always trash, and everything since has just been bad. This movie sucked. Man of Steel was awful, it was depressing. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, oh my god, that was groundbreaking in the level of pretentiousness, and do not even get me started on Justice League. And then there's Superman Returns, which did not need to return.
Enough said.
In the film, Superman's entire plan is a ridiculously simplistic attempt to end nuclear war which doesn't consider any of the political implications of his decision. And yet this is a serious theme that the film exploits as a narrative device without ever thinking or delving into it. Yet of course the tone is still campy, more so than the other Superman films because of their cheap design and shoddy writing. The entire film is rushed thanks to its 90-minute runtime, giving us no time to appreciate the characters. And the film of course exploits a whole number of recycled plot points and sitcom-like situations. Christopher Reeve is fine as Superman, even though the character has no substance, and Margot Kidder remains perfectly solid as Lois Lane too. Although apparently they didn't actually get along during filming because Reeve's ego was very inflated by him co-writing the story. Christopher Reeve only signed on to do Superman 4: The Quest for Peace because in return Canon Films said, if you do this movie, we will finance a film of your choosing. He chose the film Street Smart, which actually ended up being a career breakthrough for Morgan Freeman. It earned him his first Academy Award nomination, and he still cites it as one of his favorite roles. Nonetheless, that film didn't actually make any money at box office because Canon Films produced it but wouldn't properly market it. And Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, that actually dealt a huge blow to Christopher Reeve's career. I have actually seen Street Smart, and honestly, it's not too much to boast about. With the other actors, Gene Hackman just repeats himself as Lex Luthor without much effort. He's fine, but the gimmicks have worn off. And what the hell were the writers thinking by giving him an 80s teenage sidekick played by Ducky from Pretty in Pink? Simply put, they were not thinking. And then there's Mark Pillow, who never did another film and had literally all of his lines dubbed, so there's nothing to write home about there. I would say don't forget about Marielle Hemingway, but I think everyone's forgotten about her role in this film. There was actually even a deleted scene in this film with another nuclear man who looks like he came out of a Rolling Stones cover band for some reason, and the producers didn't include this footage because preview screenings resulted in negative feedback on the special effects, which doesn't exactly make sense considering that all of the visual effects in this film are severely incomplete, but also this scene explains why the second nuclear man has such animosity towards the character Lacey. In the final cut, it's just a plot hole. Of course, the standout in Superman 4: The Quest for Peace are the visual effects. It is shocking to see a franchise that once pioneered Academy Award-winning visual effects sink so low to the point that it would earn a Golden Raspberry Award nomination for worst visual effects. The shots are so obviously reused and never blend seamlessly with the backgrounds. There is always a sharp color contrast between the chroma keyed footage and the backdrops. And also, every time the film uses miniatures, that is also painfully obvious. Nothing is convincing in this film, and the fact that the producers saw this and honestly thought audiences would be okay with it is disgusting. But Canon Films always took this approach to filmmaking. They were always about making money, but very rarely about spending the money to actually do so. Even when they spent money, Master of the Universe became their most expensive film, and it still looked very cheap. Over the top, they paid $12 million to get Sylvester Stallone on board, but they didn't pay for any other good qualities in the filmmaking. Yeah, there is very few films in their long catalogue of movies that I would actually consider good on an objective level. Delta Force is definitely one of them, Life Force is another, but there's not all that much else. When it comes to ranking all the Superman films from best to worst, I consider it to be the second worst movie, because while it is still fucking awful, it's not as pretentious as Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Yeah, that is still the worst. And keep in mind, I still have not seen the Snyder Cut, so I am basing this strictly on the Justice League that came out into cinemas. Superman 4: The Quest for Peace gets 2 repeated visual effects shots out of 10. This movie is a prime example of what happens when a once great franchise falls to the point of trying to siphon off what little success it can get from any fans that are still willing to spend money on it, but when it's not willing to spend money itself on good production values, on good writing, on anything that would actually make it good. This is one of the worst examples of special effects you will ever see in a mainstream release. And that does it for today's episode of Delightfully Devilish, you guys. If there are any movies you want to see me discuss on this show, please leave them in the comment section below. If you would like to see more episodes of this show, please hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, until next time, I have been your host, Jukebox Harry. Peace.